Happy Monday! It's Tammy with Frou-frou Studio. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am working on the ABC April 2025 Daily Prompt Challenge that is being hosted by Margaret at 7 Plaza and Tony at Crafting by Tony. And we are all the way up to letter R. As I said last week, there were, in preparation for Easter, I did not make videos, although I did make my makes every day. And if you're interested in knowing what I did for those, they're over on my Instagram page. And you can see what I came up with for each of those days. So, as usual, I have made my list of our words for today. And I have not seen any videos. And so I have no idea if people are doing the same thing I'm doing or they're doing something different. I won't watch I won't watch the other videos or look on Instagram until this evening. So I usually do that because I don't want to be influenced to do something or not do something by someone else's makes. So today what I'm going to do is make a couple of raggedy's, and I learned about raggedy's from Nick the Booksmith, and basically what a raggedy is it is a removable, another R, page that you can stick into your journal that makes things look like their papers are sticking out of your journal without binding it in. So if you want to remove them to journal or whatever, you can take them out so they're not in your way. Or you can use them like a bookmark or whatever to mark a place in your journal. So I'm going to be making two, I hope. One for my sweet pea project, for the design team project for this month, which is a farm journal. And the other one for my 1930s journal that it's not a challenge or anything, but I'm using Joey Cardmaker's kit, the 1930s for that one. So we're going to do two of those, and then I'm also going to talk a little bit about ribbon crimps and how I use those to make dangles for my journals. So we're going to start with the raggedy's though. So what you want to do is you want your base piece that you're going to glue everything else to be the same size roughly as your journal page. So I have gotten this just random book page, and that's what I'm going to start with as my base. And you're going to want to collage on this and go over the edges so that it looks like you have different papers hanging out. And you want to do it on both sides, and you want to keep it as flat as you possibly can because you don't want it to cause a lot of bulk in your journals. Nick does have a video on this if you're interested in watching her version. Just jump over to her channel, and in the search box, if you'll put Raggedy's. She has several videos, actually, I think, about Raggedy's. So, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue my book page to this kind of big advertising piece for a piece of farm machinery. To the back side, and that gives me 2 pieces of paper thick. And I think that's going to be fine by the time we add everything else on there. So I'm going to trim this down based on the ad. I hope everybody had a good Easter. Mine was wonderful. My grandkids were here. And we had a nice dinner. It was a beautiful day. It was hot. High 80s. Yeah, so... Okay, so this is what we're going to start with. Now, I have several pieces of just random stuff that I'm going to kind of make a collage. But what you want to do when you're making your collage is you want to intentionally have papers hanging off the edge just a little bit. Kind of like that. And these are just, like I said, random papers. So I think I'm going to put the glue on my back sheet. Here as I'm working. That way I can just place things down. And I'll go through some of the words while I'm doing this, because I know it's boring to watch somebody glue paper. Alright, so the next word that I came up with is Rolodex. And of course, Rolodex cards are a great base for making something for your journal, whether you're going to put them in as individual pieces, or you're going to, don't pull from the wrong stack. About pulled from the other one instead of the one we're working on here. Rolodex cards. Yeah, they're good for, like I said, decorating, doing collages on, making them pockets, all kinds of different things for journals. And then we have rub-ons. Rub-ons are another great thing to use in a journal. Most of the rub-ons I have right now, other than my Christmas ones, are postal, kind of postmarks and things like that. So I don't really have anything right now that is just kind of generic that I could put on this one. Otherwise, I would include some. Now, when you're making a raggedy, you don't want anything hanging off this end, because this is the end that's going to go up against your spine. So you want your hang out pieces to be top, bottom, and your outside edge. So you need to think about that. Now, when you're doing the back side, you can leave it even if you want, or you can, you know, cover these that are blank with another sheet. And I'll show you what I mean when we get to the back side. Okay. So, Next word. Sorry if I'm skipping around a little bit. I'm just trying to think of things as they come to my mind, and sometimes that's not always really clear. Now, you don't want to go way over unless you want your pages to stick way out. So that is totally up to you, how you want your final piece to look. And how far you want everything to stick out. The next word that I have written down is ruler, because even if we don't measure, which I don't a lot, my chair ruler is my best friend. So, yeah, I couldn't do this, I don't think, without my ruler. And I'm going to use it right now, as a matter of fact. And tear this little quote down a little more. And these are from my book. I have a book called Quotations. Quotationary, I think is what it is. And it has all kinds of quotes in it on all kinds of different subjects from all kinds of different people. And I went through and picked out the farming quotes. And so I'm including some of those on here. So yeah, I use that for the R as well. Okay, now what do I want to do? Recipes. Recipes are another good item to use in journals, especially if you're doing like a cooking journal or a recipe journal or something like that. So I'm putting a chocolate chip recipe on here, and also oatmeal raisin cookie. I thought of recycle, because I think that's very important in junk journaling, and a lot of what we do when we junk journal is we're recycling something to use with a different purpose than what it started out to be. So that's a good word, I think, with an R. We already discussed raggedy. The next one is retro. Retro is a really good theme, I think, for a journal, especially if you like color in your journals. Not that retro has to have color, but most retro things are more brightly colored than, you know, some of the vintage items that we use. So if you want to introduce color and you like that kind of retro look, then that may be a good theme for you in your makes. And I do have a retro little collage piece that I'm going to add as a focal point on the front of this one. But first I want to put down this kind of retro price tag. So we're going to put that down. And here's my collage, and you can see it has some retro green stamps, and this is from a Dick and Jane book, and I've got some stickers and It just gives it a real retro look, I think. So I'm going to put that on there. And then we're going to flip it over to the back and see what we want to do to the back side. Okay, so over on the back, I've got a couple pieces that are pretty plain. I don't mind these because there's something on it, but these places right there are kind of plain. So I think I'm going to put this farmhouse here, and this is from a Sweet Peas kit that I'm using. That's, I believe it's called Summertime on the Farm. I'm going to put this here just to kind of give it a finished look. And I'm going to trim it. On the front side. Oh, come on, you one little piece, giving me a hard time. And then let's put another quote to cover up this part. And we'll save those two to put somewhere else in the journal. Okay, I like that one. So I'm going to ink all the way around it. I think I do want to trim that off just a tad. Okay, cooperate. There we go. All right, so let's ink that, and then we'll stick it in the book, and you can see how it looks, and we'll go on to the other one. Now, it doesn't matter if you rip the sides or you cut them straight or you have some of both, whatever your preference is. You, of course, don't have to ink by any means. So that is one of them, and the way it would work is you would stick it in your journal. Let me find place here. Say I wanted it right here. You would stick it in here, and then when you close the journal, see how that sticks out? And you can put more than one in a journal, and it would make it look like it's really got papers just thrown in there. And I love that look. So, yeah, I may end up doing another one. I've got 2 signatures in this particular journal, so I may do another one just so I have one for each signature. Alright, so now let's do the one for the other journal. And what I have for it is I just have a piece of tea-dyed paper that I folded in half because this is the size of the journal page. And I'm just going to glue it with the glue stick. Just like that. And then I have a bunch of invoices from the 1930s, and that's what we're going to use partials of to do this raggedy. And you can make these pieces as big or small as you like. That's totally up to you what size you want them to be. My glue's a little bit goopy today. I think it's because it's so warm in here. I don't have my ceiling fan on because it clinks, and I didn't want that in my video, so I think I want to poke those holes out before I do that. Where's my hole punch? Right here. It's going to be smaller, but I'm going to punch it. And then maybe put, oh, it's not that much smaller. If I can see the difference here. Yeah, that'll be all right. So we'll start with that one. And let's see, do I have something that's a different color? I have a blue. Let's do some of this blue. I think I'll do the biggest part of that blue and then lace more over it. And this is a digital. And I think I have it written down somewhere. Let me tell you who it is. If I can find my little sheet here. Because I wrote them all down because I am horrible about remembering what digitals I'm using. And there's several kits that I'm including in this one. It is, oh, Tellermade Journals. I should have known that. So yeah, that one's Tailor Made Journals, and it's a really cool kit of just all kinds of clothing, 1930s clothing manufacturer invoices, and because that's kind of how I have themed this journal, is it's kind of a, not really fashion, but yeah, I guess it would be kind of fashion inspired journal, because Joey's digitals in his 1930s kit, they're very kind of glamorous looking pictures. So I'm going to put that one there. If I'm not careful, I'm going to glue it to my glass mat. That would not be good. But I wouldn't put it past me. Oh, I almost forgot my most important R. My most important R is, I have leftover Reese's. So yeah, it's sitting here on my desk to be eaten at some point. I have to hurry and grab one before my husband eats them all. I don't eat very many sweets whatsoever, but Reese's is one of my favorites, so. Alright, this is actually an original insurance claim card from an insurance company, and it is so old and brittle that it almost has to be used in a collage because it would not hold up otherwise. So I thought this would be a good place to use it. I'm not going to have that hang off though, because like I said, it is so brittle that it would just fall apart. But it's interesting because it's like 1932, 1934, and they paid somebody $7.80 for windstorm damage, and in 1934 they paid somebody $5.30 for wind damage. And I was thinking, you know, that wouldn't even buy a nail almost these days. So I thought that was kind of funny. All right, this is just out of a little I don't even know what you'd call it. It's actually from a steel company, but it's like it's a little chart that tells you that different power that is you get from certain sizes of wire rope. I don't know, but I just thought it's interesting looking. It has lots of numbers on it, and it's that really light, almost tissue-like paper. So I'm going to put that in there. And then I have some shorthand here, which is also interesting to put in a collage. So I'm going to put a little bit of that. Whatever you have, guys, in your stash, grab it. This is a great stash buster because there is no wrong, really. You know, you don't have to have it have a theme. I just know in particular what journals these are going in, so I'm trying to stick to, you know, what I'm working on. But you can make these very generic and have them on hand. Okay, this is a advertisement for a high-grade imported French beret. We're going to put that on there. It is original. If I didn't say that already, I may have. And then I want to put something over that big hole since I didn't put a hole there. So, what else do I have? Here is some kind of ledger. I just need a little piece. And put it right there. So what's everybody working on? Do you have challenges that you're working on, or are you making journals? Okay, so there is my front side. Do I want a piece to go down here? Oh, I gotta put my focal point, which you don't have to put focal points on these. You could leave it just like that and it'd be fine. But I'm going to put this lady from Joey's kit on here. And I think I'm going to put her just like that. I need to change my glue page there. It's getting on the front side of my stuff. Get my little glue eraser here. Get that off. Okay, so now flip it over. And on the back side, I've got more invoices. So I'm going to start by putting this big one on there, and then we'll work on getting those pieces covered up. And I printed these invoices out on newsprint just because I think it's more realistic. It's a lighter paper, and it just has more of the feel of a copy of an invoice. And the good thing about it is you can add it to, like I'm going to add it to this piece of paper. And because it is you know, more flimsy, it's not causing as much bulk in the journal. And it's real easy to ink and to wrinkle and, you know, make it look older, which is nice. And it's inexpensive. And I have no problems putting this through my copier. The only thing that I will say about is and I think I got mine from Amazon, but the pack that I ordered, the paper is 9 by 12 instead of 8.5 by 11, so you do have to trim the paper down to fit in the printer, or at least I have to trim it down to fit in my printer. I don't know what kind of printers you guys have. You may have one that's capable of printing on a 9 by 12, but I do not, and I have an Epson EcoTank. But it's really easy to take a pretty big stack at a time and trim them down because the paper is so thin. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're thinking about doing that. So I'm going to try to get this about the same size, so I can put that one on the back. And I want to give a shout out to Margaret and Tony. They're doing an excellent job with this collaboration, and the videos have been really, really good. So if you're not watching, please go and check them out. They've been given some really good ideas on different things. Okay, so this is the back side, and I have this handsome young man to go back here, but I think I want something with a little bit of color. And I do have this invoice that is a really bright yellow, so I think I'm going to tear it like where the date is, so I can get that date in there. And this is an original. This one is not not a digital. Alright, so now we can put him down. Just like that. And let's ink around that, and then we'll look and see how that looks and see if we need anything else for this one. and I'm using, walnut seed. And you could stamp on these too, like if I wanted to add like a paid stamp or something like that. Some postage stamps would be cute. You know, anything that you want to. And I am going to reserve that until I figure out exactly where it's going to go. And I did go over that side a little bit. Oh, that's the back. Okay, we're good. I was about to tell you I did exactly what I told you not to do. I did a little bit with that yellow one. We're probably going to have to trim that off. See, I can see putting some stamping right in here. I'm just going to rip that off. Okay, so let's see how this one looks in the journal. Now this journal has 3 signatures. So, I don't know if I'll do 3 of these or not. But we'll see. So see now that, when you close your journal, see how it makes papers look like they're sticking out. And you may not like that. You may hate it. You may think that's sticking out too far. If you think that's sticking out too far, you know, judge that when you're making your raggedy. Personally, I like it, and I think I will probably do 1 for each signature. So that's that. Yep, pretty happy with those. So the other thing I wanted to talk about real quickly was ribbon crimps. Ribbon crimps look like this if you're not familiar with them. Let me get these papers out of my way so we can see. They're just a little metal piece that has a loop in the top, and it has, I have paper stuck to me, little like teeth down here at the bottom. And the idea is that you put ribbon in here and then you clamp it down and it will hold your ribbons. Well, I got these off Amazon. They come in a big, huge bag, and they have 3 different finishes, I think. They have a bright silver, a gold, and then this one I rusted, and it rusted pretty well. But they have, you know, 3 different finishes. I think there's just 3. Actually, there's 4, I think, because there's a brighter silver. Yeah, there's 4 different finishes. And so what I do is I get random pieces of trim. This is one that I have made that's in my stash. You can use seam binding, you can use fabric, you can use lace. This is trim for like upholstery or linens or, you know, stuff like that. And you just kind of stack it up. And I like to put a little piece of glue across the top as I'm doing it. So, you know, I put the first piece down and put glue. And then I cut them all straight across so that I can be sure when I'm putting it in this crimp, in this little space right here, that I'm getting them all in there and they're all straight. And then you just take your needle nose pliers and you squeeze, and this closes up and it holds your ribbons in place. So this one I have done for this journal. And I just took fabrics that I thought would go with the cover. And I've got some, this is feed sack and some sari silk. This is from Old Hanky. This is quilt batting, or not batting, backing. And some just random ribbons and lace and a piece of denim. And I put it on here, and then I put just this little heart charm. You can also use buttons, and then what you would do is you would hang it on your spine, just like that, and it's like that. And you can just clip it. In this particular journal, with it being fabric, I would just take it and just pin it into the fabric that's on my journal. If you're doing a Midori style journal, you can clip it on the little elastic that you have on the outside. Or if you're doing a hardcover, you can always put a grommet in your hard spine, and then you would be able to pin your ball pin through there. So yeah, I think that makes a real cute addition to a journal. And like I said, you can do them in any theme or any color that you want to. I've done, you know, like a yellow and black and so forth for a bee journal. You can do Christmas ones, which are really cute. Just whatever matches your cover and your theme. Let me see if I have a bee one. Just looking in my little... Yeah. This is in my bee ephemera kit that I have listed on Etsy. And if you have not seen this little kit, I think it is adorable. And it is still available on my Etsy. But for this one, this is it. See, it's black and yellow and white. And it has a little bee medallion on there. And just a quick look at this kit. It has a tag. It has a altered file folder that has a couple of journaling cards in it. And it has a picture frame. With a little small tag here. I was thinking that was a pocket, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a journaling card. And then it has this card here. So if you have a bee journal coming up, this is in my Etsy store. And there's a couple more pieces. I've got some little vintage inspired bee slide. And also one of my little mini clipboards that has a little bee on it. So there you go. There's another example of This one does not. Yeah, it does. I started to say that one doesn't have a ribbon clamp, but it does. So yeah, so there's that. So, and I guess you could say that's raggedy too, couldn't you? Because you're just using little remnant pieces of lace and fabrics and stuff. Now, I have never tried to make one out of paper. That's probably possible. I may have to try that just to see if it works. But yeah, I think they're really cute on a journal. One R that I forgot to mention, it's not that big of a deal, but rickrack. Rickrack is another thing that I think is really cute in a journal, and it's not real thick. This one's thicker because it's got these little embroidered flowers on it, but regular rickrack is not very thick, and it looks really cute on edges, the edge of the paper or on a journaling card or whatever. So that's another R. And I think that's all I have for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think. And let me know if you already knew about raggedy's and you use them in your journal, or if it's something new. And I will see you guys back tomorrow for Relax Remake or Relax Revisit and Remake. I don't even know the name of my own weekly series there. So until then, everybody have a great evening, and I'll see you back tomorrow. Bye.